Hello, this is Deborah Matthews, Vicar of Verwood, with my thought for the week. I seem to have been thinking about the sea rather a lot recently, looking at sun-drenched beaches and beautiful, calm, blue Mediterranean seas, only to hear that they're out of bounds. I love being by the sea, but even more than that, I love being on the sea, preferably on a cruise ship, enjoying a laid-back break. Like many other people, we have had our holidays cancelled. That's 6 cruises. I don't mean we had booked 6 at a time, but as each one was cancelled, we booked another one for a bit later in the year. And the latest cancellation was announced last Friday. Of course, we understand the reason for this. And sadly, on this occasion, it was because some of the ship's crew had tested positive for COVID. Sometimes during the church year, we mark and support certain charitable Sundays. And the second Sunday of July is known as Sea Sunday, which is supporting the mission to seafarers, which supports those who work at sea across the globe. This charity needs our help more than ever this year. And I'm just wondering what will happen to those keen, usually young staff who have left home to serve on the cruise ship and then tested positive for COVID before the ship even took on passengers. I know that the big cruise companies treat their staff well, so I hope that they are being well looked after. At the beginning of my ministry, I preached at the Mission to Seafarers in Southampton. It was close by to St Mary's Church, where I was the curate. And during my time there, I got to meet some of the seafarers who came into the mission for help and support and to pray. These were often those working on cargo ships who had a tough life at sea. Most of those who work at sea are away from their families for long periods at a time, during which babies are born and loved ones have died. And now they also have the pandemic to cope with. The support and welcome they receive from staff and chaplains at the Mission to Seafarers is invaluable to them. I come from generations of seafarers. My great-grandfather was apprenticed by his sea captain father. At the age of 15 years, William Erasmus Smith began his long career on the sea as an apprentice on the Cutty Sark. He wrote about those first voyages, which were hair-raising, but later he became a ship's master himself, and I have photographs of him baptising babies on board ship. And although I never met him, I often think about him when I'm baptising babies in church. I understand the awe of being on a ship in the middle of the sea with no land in sight. I know how the sea can be terrifying when its full power is unleashed. We get such a sense of our own smallness in the face of this great force of nature. I have always found it to be a spiritual experience to feel at one with the elements, even though it is a bit scary. But my own experience from the relative safety of a cruise ship is not quite the same as it is for those working in tough conditions on cargo ships. People have always gone to sea to trade, to travel, and to discover. And those who spend time on ships are aware of its dangers as well as its excitement and travel opportunities. Some verses from Psalm 107 express the fear that even seafarers can experience in a storm. Some went down to the sea in ships, doing business on the mighty waters. They saw the deeds of the Lord, his wondrous works in the deep. For he commanded and raised the stormy wind, which lifted up the waves of the sea. They mounted up to heaven. They went down to the depths. Their courage melted away in their calamity. They reeled and staggered like drunkards, and were at their wits' end. Then they cried to the Lord in their trouble, and he brought them out from their distress. He made the storm to be still, and the waves of the sea were hushed. Then they were glad because they had quiet, and he brought them to their desired haven. Let them thank the Lord for his steadfast love, for his wonderful works to humankind. Well, these verses also describe how seafarers have cried out to God in their distress, when the waves were so great that the boat was vertical, raised up to the sky, and then dipped down into the depths of the sea. The sailors had to cling on for their lives. They were at their wits' end and turned to God for help. It is often in our distress that makes us feel as though we are drowning, that we also cry out to God, as we also pray that God calms the storms in our own lives. Please also pray for all those at sea, that their journeys may be smooth and peaceful. Just as Jesus once brought calm to a storm on the lake in Galilee, we pray that the storms of life may bring us all safely to the shore. And if you would like to support the work of the Missions to Seafarers, you can go online to missiontoseafarers.org to find out how you can donate. God bless you and enjoy the week.